Where politics meets common sense. This is Nightcaps with Nate.
Coming to you live from just outside the swamp of the nation's capital. Get ready for invigorating talk, commentary, and debate on the issues affecting your life. Grab your favorite drink. It's Nightcaps with Nate. Now, here's Nate.
Hey, welcome to Nightcaps with Nate. It is a Thursday night edition. So on our left, we have our usual host, Natalie, the liberal, and we also have Kareem, who barely made a home in time for this because he was on the road, almost had to do it from a hotel, but his camera sucks, so I'm glad that he did make it home. Come off mute, say hi, what's up?
What up, baby? I'm ready, man. I just had to do the 5 heartbeat Eddie Kane interest.
All right, whatever that is.
If y'all want to know what that looked like, go watch the 5 heartbeats.
5 heartbeats. All right, I got to write that down. Natalie, you ever seen the 5 heartbeats?
No.
Nope, me either. All right, so I know
Here
Natalie. Natalie's
Nights like
tea.
this, I wish raindrops will fall.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Not too bad. Amber, what's going on? She just joined us. By the way, make sure everybody here, they start a watch party. Also go to Nightcaps and Nate, like and follow. Go to YouTube and subscribe. Tonight we are trying something totally different. Totally something cool. We are actually going to have a live call-in. So if you have something to say, you don't only have to say it on comment. You could actually call in. Now here's some of the rules for the call-in. Let's go over them real quick. You're going to call in live via my Uber conference at 202-808-0113, 202-808-0113. The number is also on your screen at the bottom there if you can read it. Due to the live delay, make sure that you are listening via your phone if you call in while you're on mute instead of the device, because the device will always be about 30 seconds behind. We will unmute you. It will give you an option that you could hit star and unmute yourself. If you do that, I will cut you off immediately because you'll be interrupting a live show. Other than that, I will unmute you. Make sure you go to your point, argue a little bit, debate, but when it's time to go, it's time to go. And my brother has joined. Brandon, 5 days no beer. Man, he's got the sad face. Brandon, that's probably good for you, buddy. Good for your liver. And Natalie's drinking tea tonight.
Yeah.
In solidarity with my twin brother Brandon, who's on. And Kareem, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a little bit of sangria wine, but I've been on 1738 all day. But I'm gonna try to nightcap the night with the sangria red wine. It's pretty good.
Yeah, this is when he passes out. And I am drinking my usual Bacardi and Diet Coke. No, not Diet Coke, Diet Dr. Pepper. So Brandon's nightcapping with Coke. So again, if you want to call in anytime, you can call in 202-808-0113. Let's get into our actual show tonight. In anticipation of having call-ins for our first time, I am going over less subjects tonight, so we'll talk a little bit longer per subject. And then, of course, we'll end with a heartfelt video of a young black man who got his diploma today. It was going viral. Pretty cool. We'll go over that in a second. But first, hearts go out to the state of Michigan, my home state, Natalie's home state, Brandon's home state. None of us live in our home state anymore, but this is where we were born and raised. We were born and raised, well, Brandon and I in Flint, Michigan, and my sister got moved up to northern Michigan, which is much better and safer. But about halfway between Flint and where she lived is a city called Midland, Michigan, and they are getting devastated by dam breaks. So hearts, thoughts, and prayers going out to them. Not only are they dealing with a crappy governor who's dealing with COVID-19, but now they're dealing with massive flooding that's displaced at least 10,000 people. Thank God it's out in the country, but we're talking 2 whole dams holding back a lake that have now just basically washed buildings far away, 3-4 miles away from their foundation. And livelihoods gone. Because a lot of people don't carry flood insurance because they don't think they ever need it. And so if they don't have flood insurance, their homeowners will not cover a natural disaster like that.
Yeah, the water has also mixed into the fields on the Dow chemical plants.
I heard that the Dow chemical plants, so Dow Corning, which is a huge, if you ever hear about Dow Chemical, it's in almost all your plastics and stuff. They have a huge presence in northern Michigan there. I think they were founded there, and but I
That was
heard that they were mostly untouched. That it was out of that floodplain. So hopefully they don't get into chemicals, because then you're talking massive cleanup effort. And
Dow is in Midland, and it did get into so it's kind of like it's mixed into their. I can bring it up.
yeah, but no big deal. Hearts and prayers going out to them. Governor Whitmer, she's got her hands full. She's already proven ineffective as being a leader, in my opinion, and this will really test her. So,
According
we
to
go
Detroit
we go
Free
we go
Press,
start the night with Whitmore.
well, she is the governor of that state, so you have to. Go ahead, Natalie.
according to the Detroit Free Press, Dow and Midland flood water mixed with our containment ponds.
Oh, my bad, guys. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Hey, thank you for calling into the show. This is Nate from Nightcaps and Nate. Hey, a few pointers just to make this call go smoothly. All right. I did not know what happened there, but go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, it just said, according to the Detroit Free Press, the dam water got mixed into their containment ponds, but they're reassuring the public and saying that no chemicals were released.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Good, because that would be disastrous, and that's all farmland over there. Because right north of there, that's when you get into that deep forest that Grayling is in and all that stuff. So, anyways, it's a good thing that didn't happen. So, all right, what we are going to do is go on to our next subject here. So, South Philly judge of elections. Oh, guess what? They say it never happens. What never happens? Well, they say that it's all a big hoax. Republicans are just crazy. There's no such thing as voter fraud and all that stuff. Just got this in. It's not even on you guys' slides, on your slide deck. Just got it in literally right before the show. And I'm going to show it to you. Come on. There we go. South Philly judge of election admits he took bribes to stuff the ballot box for Democrat candidates. Now, this is not from Fox News. This is not from, National Review. This is not from Breitbart. This is not from anything. This is the Philadelphia Inquirer. Guy named DeMiro, who pleaded guilty in March in a sealed proceeding before U.S. District Judge Paul S. Diamond faced up to 15 years in federal prison when sentenced June 30th. His lawyer, Janine Vinci, declined to comment Thursday. I thought that was just a big hoax, Natalie.
I don't know. You just got it in right before the show. I haven't been able to look at it. I really am only kind of half following what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm talking just in general. Just in general, generally speaking, it's not just a hoax. You know what I'm saying? It's actually something that's really, really going on, and it's a sad thing that this kind of thing is even happening at all. It shouldn't happen. I think that if we could just get all done with this thing all together and be done with any of this with just a simple voter ID. Now, I understand that people there's elderly. I know that there's people that really absolutely need to be able to vote by mail. The military, super elderly.
Second, if you're a family or a friend.
I don't want to disenfranchise anybody, but the way that we make sure that Trump doesn't steal this election
at least 1,000 people
is to make sure we have voter ID in place. What say you?
Make sure that you mute your audio from your original
Hold on a second
device and listen.
I got something going on.
Audio on your phone.
No, it's something going on, but
30 to 45 second
delay
in
phone
between
thing.
That's crazy that
coming over the internet.
This was a judge, correct, Natalie?
Yeah,
it was a judge.
Well, it's a South Philly judge of election, so it's one of those people that is supposed to be watching over the ballot box.
Okay, like the ones that
keep your point brief,
right? It was a judge of elections.
I'm not surprised.
They do the ballot box.
Enjoy the interaction,
and they're the ones that make sure that the elections are fair. So not only is he in charge of making sure that the elections are fair, he's also stuffing the ballot box.
You are the first.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised that that's taking place.
Wait for the others to join.
To be honest with you, if you look at the United States as a whole in certain pockets, I'm sure that this is taking place for both parties.
Right.
Are they getting exposed? Maybe not, but I'm not surprised. But this election right here, that's why I say every show, I cannot wait until we start getting into the election season around October, November, and we do these shows. I'm going to, it's going to get,
Gonna
man.
get crazy, huh? Because we got Kareem
Oh,
on there.
I can't wait.
Well, yeah, and Brandon just brought up in Southfield, just outside of Detroit, there's another indicted. She just got indicted just a few months ago, and she's a clerk of elections, and she did something about 100 and something ballots. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, 100 and something ballots, but a lot of these elections now are coming down to, like, razor thin. Donald Trump won Michigan by 10,000 total votes out of a state of 9 million people. That's not a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's very incumbent upon us to make sure that Trump doesn't steal this election and that we have voter ID. Would you agree with that, Natalie?
Well, the only case that I ever heard of, that with a voter, fraud was committed by Republicans.
You're talking about the ballot harvesting, right?
Yeah.
Well, I just gave you two examples of two indicted people in the last 6 months, but I mean, I agree with you. We got to make sure that Trump doesn't steal this election, and we have to have voter ID. Wouldn't you agree with that?
No, I don't. Well, just because for one thing, it's not constitutional. It's a right. If you're going to use that towards guns and say, you can't do, background checks, you can't,
We do background checks on guns. That's your Second Amendment right.
Right, but the NRA doesn't like the background checks.
Okay, then you know what? I'll agree.
If presidents are going to do that for that, then you shouldn't have that for other constitutional rights, such as the right to vote.
Well, then I will agree. I will agree to ID cards, photo ID cards for buying weapons, because we already have to do that anyways. If you agree to voter ID.
The second problem that I have with voter ID is that, like I said, lots of times, I don't trust their intentions, because the DNC and the RNC, they don't think like they use the ploy to you and I of it's just a good thing to do, just show some ID or whatever, but they don't think that way. I'm a marketing major, so I know how they think, and they think in terms of statistics. So they think if we put this law in place, then this X thousand amount of people will not show up to the booth.
Yeah. And I wonder if the Democrats think that way about gun ownership.
No. So, and I know Republicans like to think, oh, well, it's going to be the Democrats. Democrats are so, have no character or whatever. No, well, Democrats are the ones who are poor, and they're the ones who are working lots of jobs. They're the ones who, that's one more freaking thing they have to do, is go down and make sure that they have an ID card. If they don't have one already, they have to go down and do it when they have about 1,000 things to do. They're limited on time. So
Kareem, I got a question for you.
Know that. And so, so they think like, if we put this in, then X amount of people won't show up, and that's more votes for us.
Hey, again, if you want to chime in on this debate, you can call in 202-808-0113, 202-808-0113. In fact, all that background noise that you were listening to is me starting that up. I didn't know it was going to make all that noise, but that's our phone system. It was starting up and going through all of the rigmarole. My apologies, first time doing this, but hey, we are always expanding our capabilities on the show. Hey, Kareem, your family, are all Democrats poor? I mean, your wife, she's kind of a Democrat. You're on mute, buddy. I can't hear you, buddy. So I'm just it was a rhetorical question anyways, that all Democrats aren't poor. Natalie, is Jeremy poor?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. My apologies. I heard Natalie when she said that most Democrats that vote are poor, and I pulled that out of your conversation, your statement.
What I mean is the ones who the ones that law will hurt are poor people.
And like people from Appalachia, the ones that vote for Trump?
Yeah, that's a really, really small group of people compared to
ID is we had this conversation about 6 weeks ago. ID is the bare necessity of a citizen. A $10 ID. You needed to buy alcohol. You needed to get in the club, to fly on the plane, to get on the bus,
buy cigarettes.
Anything you do in this world, you need an ID. So I wouldn't associate ID with people not having IDs with people that's poor.
They know. Well, so
I
here's
would
the
say
thing.
irresponsible. I would say
Just
irresponsible.
about ownership of an ID. There are a lot of people who don't drive cars. There are a lot of people who don't have driver's licenses, so they don't actually even have an ID. You know
You
how
gotta
many
get,
people
are you talking about? Are you talking about somebody that's?
No, when I lived in the city, it was a very, very normal thing for people to not even have a driver's license and drive a car. That was very normal. And if you, I think you grew up in the city, I'm sure you knew that it was pretty prevalent for people not to do that. So they didn't even have a state ID card because
Yeah, but when I was growing up, you had the option of a state ID or a driver's license. And most
Exactly.
states offer you that
but
because you
All right,
can't
let
do
one person talk at a
anything without
time.
an ID.
but how often do you need an actual state ID? If you
Anytime
don't
you do anything.
have a driver's license, I've listen, like 18, 19, and 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds, you know, who are young and they can walk everywhere that they have to go, and they're not going to go and get a state ID if they don't need a state ID.
Natalie, 18, 9, 20 years old, they're going out, they're going to clubs, they're buying cigarettes, they're buying alcohol, they're traveling on Greyhound buses, on planes. You gotta have an ID.
Guess what? All right, we're gonna kind of wrap this conversation up, but I will agree to two things. I want to make sure that Trump doesn't steal this election, so we agree to voter ID, and I want to make sure that my people in Appalachia, they should have their ID because they have to buy their cigarettes because poor people are proportionally the smokers, by the way.
Yeah, it's such a small group of people, and you know it in Appalachia.
Dave Adams says, let me go through some of these comments.
Let's
Dave
just
Adams.
say all actually have an ID at home. Let's say that they all have a driver's license and they all have an ID at home. When they are running around and they are going to their second job, because most young people have two jobs now, and when they're
Wait, time there.
You can't even get a job.
You can't get a job with ID. You have to have I-9 form filled out.
Listen, they've all been. This is. I just said if all of them have been issued it, they all have been issued an ID, and they're going to. That is, and if they leave it at home or they leave it or whatever, it's the poor people and the people who have.
If you leave it at home, it's just like a job.
They're exhausted, they're tired, and they know that if you put in one more thing that they have to do,
come on.
And then
Come on, Natalie.
All right, let me wrap this thing up.
Come on, Natalie. You reaching now. You reaching.
Listen,
no, it's not reaching.
Listen,
but
if you need two forms ID,
you are a marketer. Everything that you do, every part of it. That's why, like, everything in your from here to there, they want to make it seamless for you when you're buying or when you're doing anything, so that you can hurry up and get the product and go. They know that if they add even one more step in, then it's going to take away.
Okay, but I got what you're saying.
Probably going to be the Democrat.
But
hold on.
It hurts everybody, Democrats and Republicans.
Listen,
if you don't have an ID, you just irresponsible.
More time and money.
Ooh, hey, settle down, everybody. Take a deep breath. Ready? I-9 to get a job. To get a job, you have to have two forms of ID, not just one, to get a job. So everybody who's got a job, the working poor, as you're talking about, that's working 3 jobs, they had to show 2 forms of ID to fill out an I-9. Second, hold on. Second, if you go to vote a ballot and you forgot your ID card or you don't even have one yet, you can vote on provisional ballot. And if the election gets so close that the provisional ballots have to be taken into account, then they'll give you like 10, 20 days to go and get an ID and to show them so that your vote will actually continue to count, but your vote is still there. That's called a provisional ballot. I got to go through.
You know what? I'm gonna be in LA in 3 weeks, and I'm gonna go on Skid Row, and I'm gonna go live on Skid Row for you, and I bet you they got IDs. Even people on Skid Row got IDs.
Hey, hold on, we got somebody.
Even if they've all been issued the ID, whenever you put one more step into the process,
Hey, hold on, we got a caller who's come on the line. So hold on a second.
All right.
Caller, who are you? What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, it's Jeremy from Michigan.
Oh,
How
Lord,
y'all doing?
Jeremy, he's been on the show. Hey, hold on. Before I introduce you into the show, because I know what side you're on, I got to read some of the comments, okay? So just stay right there. All right. Brandon Kerr says, Bill Gates, he's poor. He's a Democrat. 2 people home, got 5 ballot apps in Michigan. That's from Gordy. Amber says you can get a voter ID when you apply online for food stamps, so what is the excuse now? Joe Brown, more things to do. So what? I had the VA the Virginia governor throw a curveball at me and took up a whole day where they told me I owed $5,000. He had to fix that. Talking about taxes. He's a military member who's not even a VA resident, Virginia resident. Dave Adams, not smart enough to vote if you can't get an ID card. Once the kid's legal not to have ID, Gordy said. Man.
Shout out to Dave Adams.
Dave Adams, Natalie, stop. He actually loves Natalie and Renee. He's my father-in-law. Liza Brooke, I can't, LOL. It's okay, Liza. Chill out. Gordy Curve, bullshit meter exploding. You guys, be nice to my sister. She is a brave person. She actually comes on here, and actually Jeremy's about to help her out, I think. And she really does come on here and take a beating because most of my audience is conservative.
Mass marketing in the buyer process.
Yeah, but buying, but that's different. That's different than. All right, let's let Jeremy have his say. Go ahead, Jeremy. You got 1 minute. Go.
All right. Well, two things since I was mentioned. I wasn't poor before coronavirus, but we'll see in a couple of months. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, what I was going to say about, and I thought Natalie had some really good points there. But the issue with the voter ID, if you look at voter ID in Michigan and certain other states, very reasonable. They have a very good process. They do have the provisional ballot situation if you don't have your ID. There are other states where people, their legal birth certificate wasn't deemed valid enough to get an ID.
That's because they were like in Puerto Rico where they had to redo all the birth certificates. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, there was one guy who had a typo on his birth certificate from when he was born years and years and years ago, and the state wouldn't recognize it. So, voting is a right. All right, a right doesn't need to be. You're not prevented from exercising your rights.
So
and
let
when
me
they
ask
make
you
it
this:
hard,
if that's a right, which I agree it's a right, and we should make it as easy as possible, then gun ownership's a right, and we should make it easy as possible. But I think you would agree with me that we need to stop Donald Trump from stealing this election. So we need to have some sort of check and balance in place to make sure people aren't stealing this election, right?
Right, except that, the only thing that ID prevents is in-person voter fraud. And
exactly. Wait, stop there. Do you agree then that us opening the whole election up to mail-in voter fraud, or mail-in voting opens us up to more voter fraud?
Yeah, most states, absentee voting is one of the easier ways to do voter fraud. The problem is we've had absentee voting for years and years and years and years and years. And so, no, it's not going to open up any more voter fraud just because there's absentee voting or mail-in voting. But there have been many instances. Last big one was by a Republican, but there have been many instances of people exploiting that. But they've used military members. They've used people who live out of the country most of the year. I mean, so, this type of voting has been around for a long time. It's still very, very safe, and there's still very few incidents of voter fraud when it comes to mail-in.
Let's say it's 1/4 of 1%. 1/4 of 1% of 10,000 absentee ballots versus 1/4 of 1% of 10 million absentee ballots. Now, yeah, the percentage might remain the same, but that's a lot of votes that have been affected now. Natalie, you look like you want to jump in on here.
No, not really. I mean, I kind of agree with what he's saying. I think that, like I said about, when we were talking about immigrants, where it'd be statistically impossible for there not to be any bad people in any group of people. I think that when it comes to any way of voting, whether it's in person or whether it's, mail-in or whatever it is, I think that you're going to have a few cases. And of course, the press is going to grab those few cases and they're going to be like, see, voter fraud, and, but you're going to have it sometimes just because you're dealing with humans, and humans sometimes do really stupid things.
We are. Hey, thanks.
Get an ID.
That's great. Hey, thanks, Jimmy, for the call. Anybody else wants to chime in, they can chime in at 202-808-0113. We are going to move on. We have beat this thing to death. All right. I posted this a little bit earlier, and I got 3 questions for this, okay? All states above the national average for deaths per million in COVID are all, one is kind of a purple state, I guess you would say, because Maryland somehow, by a freak of nature, got a Republican governor but they are like a 12-1 Democrat state. But all the states are heavily red states. My question for media in their Democrat Party, why is the media going after Republican state governors of Florida and Georgia when they are well below the national average in deaths per million residents, but yet they sling praises to Michigan and New York governor when obviously they were much less prepared, with average death rates nearly double the average for Michigan and 5 times the average for New York. Does the media even attempt to be objective? And there was a tweet from Janice Dean. Can you imagine how much press the nursing home tragedy here in New York City would be getting if at New York Governor Cuomo was a Republican? It'd be on every single news channel and newspaper day in, day out. And yes, if he is a Republican, I'd be just as furious. Bottom line, Cuomo getting a free pass, man, especially with that nursing home fiasco where he was putting COVID patients in nursing homes with the most vulnerable patient set ever. I just think it's beyond me that Whitmer and them, they're always on national TV and they're just getting softball questions lobbed at them. But yet Governor DeSantis and Governor Kemp from Georgia and Florida have reopened their states, got their economies going, have very low death rates. In fact, the death rates are going down in many cases. I'm telling you, this is an unfair example, perfect example of media bias.
Hey, I'm here in Florida. I just left Clearwater Beach. I was out there earlier, and it's beautiful out there. Everybody's out there live and vibrant. DeSantis did a good job. Hey, you know me, Nate. I don't take no shots at Cuomo, man. He had a tough job up there in New York.
I think all 50 state governors have a tough job. I'm not giving them the pass that I was giving them.
Yeah, the thing with the COVID is that it goes after hubs and stuff. It really has nothing to do with the political leadership. The political leadership right now across the board is acting pretty similar in the United States anyway. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, everybody is encouraging.
I've seen negative news though on DeSantis and Kemp reopening their states.
Are doing that's different is that they're kind of leaning back on the social distancing right now, and they're trying to open things back up. And so the press is watching very closely to see, are we going to have a rise in cases?
The press is already buying trouble and being negative about it, and it's wrong. My point is that
back up, and so the Republican states ought to have known that's coming. That is coming. If we open back up, they're going to be scrutinizing us. They're going to be.
Yeah, I can agree with that, and I can agree with that.
Damned if they do, damned if they don't. Because if Democrats started opening up, then the narrative would be, "Oh my God, Republicans are just trying to." Who's the party of lazy now? That's exactly how they would have treated this.
Well, it's the Republican attitude to open up prematurely, because the Republicans have been more concerned about the economy than the health and welfare of the citizens.
It's like you say, it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't.
It's always the Republicans that's damn if you do, damn if you don't. It's never ever the Democrats on defense. It's
exactly if the economy don't open up, then people say we don't have no jobs, we can't work.
You don't think that the liberals are in a damned if you do, damned if you don't position?
With the media?
The
Never.
ones who are trying to keep everything closed down.
Never.
So if it all turns into COVID city anyway, then they're going to have to deal with deaths, and they're going to have to deal with sickness.
That's the point. It is COVID city.
If it doesn't, then the entire country is going to say, you blew this out of proportion. This wasn't even that big of a problem.
Hey, if you want to chime in real quick on this subject, call 202.
And they actually so they're kind of a little bit in a damned if you do, a damned if you
yeah,
don't.
but they always have. Hey, hold on.
Stay closed forever.
Before we go on that, the media is always on the Democrat side, so they're never damned if you do, damned if you don't in the eyes of the media, and the media exemplifies the message.
The media only goes so far. People are sick and tired. No, people are sick and tired of being at home. Jeremy, who just called in, is like stressed to the max because his livelihood comes from owning a bounce house rental. That's what he does. He has indoor mall locations, and he contracts with the schools to do fundraisers. All the schools are closed. All the malls are closed. Beyond that, even personal rentals where he can rent to people's houses and things like that.
I know, but Natalie,
no, I'm not done. Just a second.
I know, but real quick.
This is my empathy for Jeremy. Be quiet.
All right, yeah, but you gotta go quicker though. Go.
I know, but let me get mine in, Natalie.
Rentals, because what parent is right now in the middle of COVID going to be like, yeah, let's have a party at my house and everybody's going to jump on a bounce house. I mean, it's just so he's the one. So him and people like him all across the country, they're ready to get back to work.
All
They're
right.
ready.
Go
ready
ahead,
to get
Kareem.
So I understand that you showing empathy for Jeremy, and I understand that. But
Okay, Natalie, you can't overtalk.
I know. Natalie, I allowed you to talk.
Natalie.
I allowed you to talk. Can I talk now, please? Can I talk now?
Then you said, well, you have empathy for Jeremy. So I was yeah, I have empathy for
Can I finish,
go.
can I finish my statement?
Natalie,
please.
Let him go. Go.
Please. Thank you. All right. So what you confusing me. Like, should we not open up or should we open up? Like,
I am saying that the press, he brought up the press and their bias. And I said, the press only goes so far to change the minds of the people. The people in general are sick and tired of being in their houses and they're ready to get out.
Yes.
But do you agree with,
if you want to get out? Hey, if
Natalie,
you want to chime in, on this, hold on a second.
Do you agree with the people feeling that way?
If you want to chime in before you answer, if you want to chime in on this, call 202-808-0113, 202-808-0113.
I agree with slow and steady opening. In Indiana, as I've said on multiple shows, our Republican governor, note that, is doing phases. Right now, we're entering phase 3. And so we have our restaurants open, but only at half capacity. And we still have, no more than 20 or 25 people gatherings. People are back in church, I think, in small groups, and
right.
It's slow and steady. And we're watching how many cases we get, and I think that's the way to do it.
Okay, got it. So hey, hold on.
You hit it on the head, because we're doing the same thing here in Florida. We're doing phases here, and you know what the common denominator is? They both Republican states.
That's right.
How many cases are in Florida and Georgia?
That doesn't matter. Hey, let me stop. I gotta get to this. This is an interactive show, so hold on, guys. You guys believe me. You guys get way more say than the people that are doing comments. Okay. Joe Brown actually says that he does like Natalie being on the show, so that's good. Chris Sanders, I don't understand what logical premise a legitimate American has that state voter ID shouldn't be allowed. Voting is American right, not alien. Virtually everything in this country above the age of 16. So that's the last subject. Let's go down. Rhetoric is off the chain tonight. Chris Hainers, absentee voting is different than mail-in voting. We're going to move on. Amber, why is Whitmer still on some BS? Gordy Curve, flip a coin on opening. Nobody knows. Jeffrey Lincoln, why can't they see it for what it is? China infected the world, but the hate for Trump is overwhelming, especially in the media. Democrats won't even clean their own house, Dave says. Whitley says, Dad, please check your spell checking. Don't worry, I speak redneck, Dave. Chris Anders, what makes you think a depressed economy isn't also a threat to public health? Crashing economy turns the country into a Great Depression, which in turn crashed the entire medical system. Joe Brown, Nate, you're a business analytics major. Natalie talks about the statistics. What are your thoughts about the statistics of COVID? 328 million people in the U.S., 1.6 million cases, 95,000 deaths. COVID is real. Joe, I would agree, but coming from, yes, Joe and I both we went to grad school and got degrees in business intelligence and analytics. And statistically speaking, 95 out of 328 million is statistically insignificant. It's like 0.0002% of the country, but we got to see it as a threat. Chris Hainers, Nat is on fire. Breathe, girl. Have a drink. Yes, breathe. Take a break. Dave, I can't wait till election night, Nate. Make sure Natalie is on. He wants to see you cry, I think. And Joe Brown, but it is the juice worth the squeeze with the level of quarantine we're in? No, it's not worth the squeeze. I got a caller on the line. Let's get to the caller. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from? Oh, I think I know who this is.
This is your awesome twin.
How did I know? I saw Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Go ahead.
Hey, man. Hey, I want to first address Natalie's point about the media can only go so far. If the media only went so far, Governor Cuomo would be in the toilet with his approval ratings, and DeSantis would be enjoying 80%, 90% approval ratings. But the media always sides with the Democrats. In fact, have you ever realized whenever the media makes a mistake, it never goes the other way? Like, they never made a mistake against the Democrat. Always, our algorithm or our mistake, it's always toward a Republican.
Right.
And Cuomo's state had 30% of all COVID deaths in the United States in New York alone. The fourth most populated state, the seventh most densely populated state, and they still had 30% of all the deaths. All the other states, the federal prison system, they all shared 70%.
Right. Yeah, and that's
Well,
a good point.
but
Go
that
ahead, Natalie.
that didn't have anything to do with political leadership. If we're going to blame it on political leadership, which I have never done this, but let's go back to Trump's response to COVID-19. If that's not fair to even blame it on political leadership. So I really think this whole argument's redundant. But either way, New York is a major hub. It's the, New York, I think it's number one in the country. It's New York, Chicago.
No, New York,
maybe
LA, then Chicago. Yes. Go
And
ahead.
so they, they kind of had, first mover, but the thing about the press always siding with, the Democrats. Have you ever asked yourself why? Brandon, maybe they always side with the Democrats because we're right. You ever thought about that?
Oh my God! No, now you went too far. Hey, let me answer
you know
this.
What?
If we're gonna
DeSantis,
judge,
man, DeSantis, we have in Florida, we have Miami. Miami is a major tourist.
You have Orlando. You
Man,
had Tampa.
Orlando. They shut down Orlando. Those cruise boats. Man, we had the cruise boats from Europe floating in the water for like 2 weeks, and DeSantis was like, "Hey, you ain't docking here until we come up with a plan." That's strong leadership.
Republican leadership. And by the way, if we're going to judge Trump, we got to judge Trump based on the world, right? Because he's a world leader, a national leader. And since Ireland's doing worse than us, Netherlands, Sweden, France, UK, Italy, Spain, Belgium, Andorra, I think we're doing okay compared to. And the whole point, what Brandon's trying to say is that the media is always erring on the side of caution with Democrats and giving all this praise to two governors, Whitmer and Cuomo, and they don't deserve it. They were unprepared. Cuomo has no excuse. Whitmer might have an excuse because she's only been there for a year and a half, 2 years. Hold on. She's only been there for a year and a half, 2 years. But Cuomo has no excuse. And that's the media darling right now. Cuomo's been there for over 5 years. He should have had the number one state, the number one city who has its own terrorism department, should have been more than prepared. But you know what happened? De Blasio, his fellow Democrat, auctioned off all his ventilators 5 years ago. Literally. Auctioned them off. Never replaced them.
Yep, just like Trump, and Trump and disbanding the pandemic team and all of that. Listen, no, I'm not gonna do it, and you shouldn't do it either.
Of course, I'm gonna do it.
If
the media
is no.
If Obama was in office right now and he was 12th in the world in deaths, the media would be touting that.
The things that should be judged according to of how they're responding is whether they opened up too soon, whether they stayed closed for too long.
Yep.
That should be looked at.
Okay. But the readiness of we're a federalist nation. Just like Germany's judged on Germany, not the EU is not judged on Germany. That's how we were founded as a thing. Like I said, if you wanna, you can chime in through commenting here on Nightcaps and A. If you haven't started a watch party, start a watch party. Also, you could call in 202-808-0113, 202-808-0113. Please remember to stay on mute. I will manually unmute you. Next story. Doctors raise alarm about health effects of continued coronavirus shutdown. Why is this not all over the media? I guarantee you that if this was 600 doctors that signed on to a letter against Trump, it would be everywhere. But 600 doctors, more than 600 doctors, New York Post yesterday, more than 600 doctors signed on to a letter sent to President Trump Tuesday pushing him to end the national shutdown. They said, quote, the millions of casualties of a continued shutdown will be hiding in plain sight, but they will be called alcoholism, homelessness, suicide, heart attack, stroke, or kidney failure. In use, it will be called financial instability, unemployment, despair, drug addiction, unplanned pregnancies, poverty, and abuse. In other words, we are making a mountain out of a molehill. Yes, it's a big molehill. Not saying it's not a large molehill. It's an ant farm that took over your backyard, but it doesn't take over the world. We need to open back up, according to these 600 doctors. I have a feeling that if these were 600 doctors saying something different, that the media would be all over Trump right now. Where's the media?
Wins the race. Yes, I think we should open back up, but let's phase this. And the big cities where it's the most prevalent, where we have the most cases, they need to be the slowest before we open back
That's what
up.
I'm talking about, Natalie. Now you sounded like a true Republican.
I don't sound like a true Republican. I sound like that Democrats are leaning towards here. The we have to be really careful with the cities, and and of course the states where there's high numbers right now, Michigan, New York.
I like the phases. I like the phases where you could.
Yeah, but we need to get the phases going. I mean, Whitmer has the phases going, but they're so slow. Oh, and conveniently, she opened up northern Michigan. Remember I showed you that map where everybody has their houses up in the deep forest? Because supposedly she's going to her cabin this weekend for Memorial Day to have a graduation party for her daughter. And, I mean, just magically, that portion of the state got opened up for
what is
again.
By any chance?
Pisses me off. You know what? It's that kind of crap. For their own personal
Guaranteed.
Wins. Yeah.
Guaranteed. If that was Trump and he pulled a move like that, man, that'd be national news right now. Even if he was just a governor. Remember when and this pissed me off when Chris Christie did it. Remember when Chris Christie had his governor's mansion or whatever is on the beach of the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, and he had shut the beaches down because of the hurricane or whatever, but then there was a photo of him and his family sitting on the beach? Rightfully so, they beat the hell out of him, and they should have. And that's exactly what she did there, but the media has largely not covered it. In fact, the only way I found it was on a obscure site, and I was like, no way. And they're now doxing her. I don't agree with it, but they're putting the address up there, and there's going to be a protest.
Well, here's the thing: is Northern Michigan needed to be opened back up, so I'm not even mad at her about that. I just get really annoyed at when people do things and that it's just and it just seems like it's for their own personal benefit. When we have a national emergency right now. I mean,
what's so special about Northern Michigan?
It's just not
Northern
right.
Michigan is like where all the people from Chicago, all the rich people from Chicago, they have houses up in Traverse City, all along that western coast of Michigan.
Because it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous. I mean, the Great Lakes are like freshwater oceans. You can't see across them. They go for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. They have shipwrecks on them. They're that large. So a lot of rich people have houses up there, including Gretchen Whitmer. She's probably doing other things in that cabin too. I don't know what you mean by that, Russell.
Whitmer is from Ada, Michigan, and Ada, Michigan is where the DeVosses are from.
Yeah,
and
shame on her. She should be a Republican.
That's the rich part of Grand Rapids and Kent County area.
Dave Adams, they want to be slow with the cities because they are all big Democratic cities. Had a nice call from your dad. Love my brother. There's Gordy talking about my dad. What Trump is saying is the right thing, though. He just came out today and said in Michigan, Trump says he will not close the country again if a second wave of coronavirus hits. Don't blame him. President Trump said Thursday, we are not closing our country. People say that's a very distinct possibility. It's standard. Trump said when asked about the second wave during a tour of a Ford factory in Michigan, he said, we are going to put out the fires one by one, but we're not going to close the entire country. In other words, he's going to put out the fires individually. He'll close regions of the country maybe, but he's not shutting down the entire country again. He doesn't really have a choice in the matter. So, but what he can do, he has the power of the purse string and say, hey, we will not give you federal funding if you shut down in an area that we don't approve. That's on your state. You have to fund that. You fund their unemployment. You fund everything. And that's inviting the federal government to pay your bills.
I understand his optimism about that situation, but that statement is a little bit premature. Because if something goes the wrong way, it's gonna, how CNN they're gonna
do it to him anyways. But he's got a very correct notion. This time we shut down everything and we're in the Great Depression again, and that's unheard of. We never thought in our lifetime. In fact, we were told that never in the country's future would we ever have a Great Depression again because we've learned from that first one back in the 1920s. And here we are. We just threw ourselves in a Great Depression. We are literally at a 15% unemployment rate, the highest I've ever seen. Jeffrey Lincoln says, then we have Governor Newsom who thinks we should bail out California, threatening to lay off first responders while giving illegals millions. I covered that last night. Kareem, major tourism, and many second homes up in northern Michigan. You're just getting these comments now because there's about a 30 or 45-second delay on that.
That's cool.
I mean, do we need to really shut down the whole entire country? Or, hey, New York City, you're shut down. Northern New York, you're not, because it's just like Michigan. Detroit probably should have been shut down for a little while. But did we have to shut down Grand Rapids? Or did we have to shut down?
Yeah, but I mean, you can't shut down a region of a state and
Sure you
then
can.
have another one open because people still commute and travel. And that was the whole purpose of trying to
Okay, but you could
combat
say
this.
and if you've been out here in the New England states, they're all very small. So
Well,
you could travel from Rhode Island to New York and New York to Rhode Island, even if one's shut down, the other's not. You can't stop interstate travel without an executive order. Trump could put an executive order and stop interstate travel. And hell, we've seen them take away everybody else's rights. I'm sure they could stop intercity travel. New Mexico governor walled off an entire city.
Yeah.
They don't believe in walls, by the way. Democrats don't believe in walls, but they sure as hell believe in them when it comes to their thing. Because like De Blasio's putting fences up for the beaches this Memorial Day weekend. They hate fences and walls until it suits their purpose. Go ahead, Natalie.
Hey, everybody, Memorial Weekend, come to Florida if you catch you a little cheap flight right now.
And get some Hood Samaritan gear on your way.
Yeah, come down here.
I was just going to say we need to phase the cities. We should do it by population density. And so the populations that are most dense, those ones should be the slowest to reopen, and we should phase, in the other areas. Democrats do like borders and things like that, but we like sensible borders.
No, they don't like borders that stop future votes.
If it's keeping this out, that's a good thing. If it's keeping immigrants on the other side when the vast majority of illegal immigrants are here on overstayed visas, that's just a waste of money and resources and everybody's time and energy.
I disagree.
Division in our country.
Totally disagree. So Smitty, he's late to the party tonight, but he said prayers go out to all the Michigan people. That was our very first slide tonight. Yes, prayers go out to them. Bay City North, there is nobody open up. Gordy says, Joe, I have family that work for the city at the beach. Every beach around them shut down except theirs. Wow. So they had more visitors than normal because of it. Good. That's capitalism, baby. Joe Brown Cream is right about the travel. Also, my former schoolmate there, Joe Brown, congratulations to you, buddy. He made captain in the U.S. Air Force. He was enlisted when we went through grad school together. And then I saw him, online, I saw him get commissioned as a second lieutenant, and he's made his way. He's now a captain in the United States Air Force. Congratulations, buddy.
Hey, congratulations, Joe Brown. Shout out to you, brother.
Yeah. Let's move on. Oh, today, horrible thing happened today. The so-called religion of peace has hit us again. Naval Air Station Corpus Christi, shooting terror related. Person of interest maybe at large. Guy rammed through the gate. Arab guy ran through the gate. They put up those new blocking things. They have them at Fort Meade. They come up, and them things don't move. And if you look at on the picture here, look at his car. Them things don't move. And he got out, started firing. The naval security forces, whatever they call their military police, opened fire back on him and neutralized the suspect. Good for them. But there may be one other one. Maybe one other one at large. FBI and the NCIS are handling the investigation into that. Prayers go out to them. Still not too late to call. If you want to call 202-808-0113, 202-808-0113, or you could come up onto the page of Nightcaps and Nate and comment there. Chris Sanders says, way to aim high, Joe. I think Chris is in the Army. Hey, QAnon. Guess what? Have you ever heard of them, Natalie?
QAnon?
Yeah.
What about them?
They're like a conspiracy theorist group. I kind of like some of their stuff. Dave Adams actually is the one that showed me them, but a first time a Senate candidate won. She's part of the QAnon conspiracy group, and she actually won the primary for Oregon Senate. Now it's Oregon, so she's probably not going to win because it's Oregon and they're very, very deep blue. But she did beat out two other Republicans. So a believer in QAnon conspiracy theory wins Republican Senate nomination in Oregon. Joe Ray Perkins bested three other candidates to win the GOP nomination to face Senator Jeff Merkley in November. However, they're saying, I was looking at some of the things, and Oregon actually might be, if there's a West Coast state to flip, they might actually be the first one to do it. I mean, it's going to be a while, but I think even the wokesters in Portland are getting tired of woke policies.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know anything about QAnon, and
You got to look it up. QAnon, conspiracy theory thing. You ever heard of it, Kareem?
I never heard of it, but you know.
Oh, we got one on here. Chris Hayner's Q has been pretty spot on and fairly legit, folks. Take note. It's a thing that says that there's a big conspiracy. The deep state is part of it. And so Trump kind of repeats some of their stuff, which I agree. There is a deep state. If you ever worked in Washington, D.C., like I have for over 2 years, where I worked in D.C., you will know that most government bureaucratic employees who are actually doing the day-to-day governing or they are resisting Trump at every moment. Sometimes it's outright not doing their job, but their unions protect them, thanks to the Democrat Party putting in those labor laws, codify them. And so, a lot of government workers aren't the greatest workers anyways. And so...
excuse me.
They're not.
You work for the government?
Oh, we work for contractors, but my wife works for the government. I'm saying not all of them are bad, just some of them are bad.
We talking about non-prior service government.
yeah, we're talking about the non-prior service ones.
Dude, my husband works for the Department of Labor, and he is a very good worker.
I hope
Shout out to every non-prior service worker besides your husband, Natalie.
No, he's prior service. He's prior service Army.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. See, Natalie, sometimes you answer your own questions.
You see what they're doing in Hong Kong? You hear about that today? China is actually going to take away the sovereignty of Hong Kong way early. They're supposed to keep their sovereignty till 2047. 2047. And they're doing it. Quit yawning. You're going to make us all yawn. China is set to impose new Hong Kong security law. Trump warns of strong U.S. reaction. That's dangerous stuff. Hey, you know what? Correct me if I'm wrong, but if Biden was in power, Obama was in power, hell, I'll even say Bush was in power, nothing would be happening right now. Trump is the only president to ever come on and take care of China or take on China. He is.
I actually agree with you on that one.
He's the only one that had the balls to do it. I never in my lifetime thought that anybody would really put sanctions on China.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you on his China policy. And most Democrats actually do. Democrats, I mean, they're not going to come right out and say it like, oh, yeah, but because, Democrats have, the DNC, establishment Democrats, they have an agenda. But most Democrats agreed that putting sanctions on China and taking on China and the trade war was not a terrible idea. Some progressives disagree. Some progressives feel
some will just do it because he's Trump.
What's the point? They're just going to do it back to us, and we're going to keep doing this. So what's the point of doing it?
Here's the next step in this whole thing. Donald Trump needs to get the world leaders. And after this whole fiasco with the Wuhan virus coming over and then them hiding it and infecting the world and crashing the world's economy, we need to really reevaluate as a country and as a world. Is China, before President Xi Jinping, China was actually becoming more and more democratized. And then he came in and he's a ruler for life. And he's saying, no, we're going a little bit backwards towards the communism thing. He wanted that, right? And what it's doing, he is single-handedly ruining China. China was on pace to become the largest economy in the next 10 years. And now he's pretty much ruined it because more and more countries now are going to pull their supply chains out of there. With them taking Hong Kong as their big financial hub because they had autonomy, so they weren't controlled by the communists. So a lot of businesses did business in Hong Kong, but not mainland China. And they're destroying themselves. And it's his own fault. Look, if he wants to play on the world stage and play with the big boys like the United States and the European Union, he needs to start acting. He needs to have a country that is open and transparent because that's the only way business works. Business cannot work in a Stalinist-like regime. It just can't do it.
No.
And now I can't wait till the Democrats go and start defending China again because Trump is taking a stand against this Hong Kong thing. We'll see what happens. It's just like the Democrats were forced to defend Iran when Trump killed that general.
Well, yeah, but okay. I defended Trump. I'm a liberal. I defended Trump.
I'm talking about the party apparatus.
When he killed the general.
I'm talking about the party apparatus.
He did that without going to Congress. He just did that on a whim. It was a little weird.
Hey, there's going to be a civil war opening up in the Democrat Party. I mean, there already is. the media just won't report it. Like anytime there's any friction in the Republican Party, they'll report all about it. Oh, there's infighting. Right now, there's a big thing. I mean, Natalie, you're a progressive. You're not even a Democrat. Are you really that excited about Biden?
No, of course not. I've already told you about a million
Yeah, I
times.
know, but
The Democrats are
we always have new viewers here.
it's coming together a little bit more.
Well, they're going to coalesce because it's going to be a never Trump thing. But now Biden,
that's crazy.
It's getting better. It's with the Democrats and the liberals. It's getting better all the time about their feelings towards it.
Well,
I'm not very happy about Biden being the choice.
Biden doesn't even know what's on his own website apparently, because apparently now remember you have Rashida Tlaib, you have Ilhan Homer, AOC, that Presley girl up in I think Massachusetts. They're called the Squad. Well, they're very vocal about Palestinian rights. In fact, Tlaib is Palestinian, and they're very pretty much anti-Israel, right? Well, come to find out, this guy Jordan found on the Biden website firmly reject the BDS movement, which is you block, you protest and you sanction Israel movement, which is what that is. I forgot what the BDS stands for, which singles out Israel, home to millions of Jews, and too often veers into anti-Semitism while letting Palestinians off the hook for their choices. Man, that blew up on Twitter today because Twitter is like the home of the woke leftists. Like I have a Twitter presence. And there's a lot of conservatives on Twitter, but they pale in comparison to the amount of liberals on Twitter. Twitter is like a liberal hub, and man, they are just pissed off that Biden is not going against Israel. Biden blasts BDS progressives, quote, stop targeting Israel and letting Palestinians off the hook for their choices. Liberals are upset. Joe wants to know, Natalie, who would be your choice as candidate?
Who would be my choice right now?
Well, not right now. I mean, in the primary, who was it?
The Democrats, yeah.
Well, in the primaries, I had voted for Bernie, but
who would have been your second choice?
I haven't decided yet.
Who would have been in the primary?
I cannot vote for Trump.
No. In the primary, had Bernie had his heart attack, which he did, and he couldn't run, who would have been your second choice?
Who in the primaries? It was going to be Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren pulled out though.
Yeah.
Then there was Pete Buttigieg after Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, but Warren was such a liar. Why Elizabeth Warren? I don't know. Joe says that name. I have something to say about Twitter.
I have a real problem with what happened to her. And the reason why is because I really do believe that she believed that she was Native American. Because
what about her story about pregnancy and getting fired and all the other stuff?
Who in their right mind would take a DNA test and show the world when you're running for office for the executive?
Stupid. Why did she show the world the results?
Stop. Let me talk. Why would anybody do that? If they knew already what the results were going to be, if they knew that they were lying, the only person who would be stupid.
Time out. Let me answer that.
Totally believe that they were Native American.
She was dumb enough to actually come out and say, "See, I told you I was Native American." That's what got her in trouble. And everybody looked at the results and said, "Yeah, 16 generations ago."
She still believed she was seriously Native American. Yeah. She believed that she
Remember that one girl that finally got caught? She was actually a chapter president of the NAACP, and she was actually a white girl.
Oh yeah, the white.
Yeah. I guess if you think hard enough that you're Native American or black, I guess you are.
Wait, but did she have any drop of Native American in her?
Let's just say I have more Native American in me than she does.
Nathan,
and I have none.
Nathan, look at our family. Nam told us our whole lives that we had Native American in us. We all believed it.
I never believed it. I can look at myself and tell you that.
Nam would show me her skin. She'd say, "See, my skin's like a little bit more darker than yours or whatever, and I can hold a tan year round a little bit." And that's just a little bit of Native American in me. That's Nam told me that my whole life. I used to play cards and drink coffee with her my whole life.
All right, hey.
And it's just,
dude, you gotta make quick points. We're getting out of time. Not long filibustering points.
No, I will defend Elizabeth Warren.
No, Elizabeth Warren's an idiot, but in California they nicknamed me Powder. You know the movie Powder? That's how I knew it was.
Yeah. And you need to go to one of those tennis sands.
You know what I really, really want you to show on this show?
What?
I really want you to show back when Trump wasn't running for president, and he kept going after President Obama's birth certificate.
I agreed with that. Why didn't he prove his? I'm all about proof.
Yeah, no, I want you to show at the White House.
Validate
Obama's response to him after his birth certificate. He said, "I'm here and I'm going to show you my birth certificate." And I want you to post that video, and I'll send it to you so that you can see it.
All right, we're kind of getting a little old on that one, but hey, for all you pot smokers, I'm going to go through this really quick. Scientists believe cannabis can help prevent and treat coronavirus. Kind of a little misleading. It's the oil in it, and it has to be super concentrated. All right. Oh, this is funny here. Ex-Texas Lieutenant Governor suffers broken ribs after spat with his younger girlfriend. Okay. The guy's 74. He's got a 40-year-old younger girlfriend. Apparently she got mad and kicked him in the ribs and broke it. Pretty bad, because if your girl can get charged with elderly abuse, that means you dated too young. You know what I'm saying? Elderly abuse is a law reserved for young folks beating up on old folks. Okay. So that means his girlfriend's just a little bit too young. I give him
Dad chimed in and he said, "Reagan and Trump are the only presidents in my lifetime that were willing to act like leaders of the free world and go nose to nose with powerful communist leaders."
Good.
Thank you for talking, Dad.
Good.
Shout out to Dad.
Shout out to my dad. Next time, watch it on Nightcaps with Nate. And final story, final thing. This will make your heart feel good, even for you, even for us non-heart bleeders, bleeding heart liberals. Young man here, Tennessee teen, goes viral after drive-through graduation video. He's when I looked at him, it reminds me of what Kareem always says on our show, and that's why I love Kareem. That I'm not gonna say because it'll sound like I'm a racist, but he says us black men need to step up. This guy's stepping up, made his mom proud, made his school proud. I'm gonna play the video real quick.
Dean Jordan, I graduated! I love you, Dean Jordan! Wow! Bye, Miss Bell! Oh, thank you! I'm proud of you, John Trey. I'm always see you, Miss Smith. Love you, man. Love you, too. Oh. I'm so proud of you, Don Trill.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Don
Dr.
Trey.
Fight.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much.
Congratulations, Mama. You did good. You did good.
I got 2 more for you.
All right, so I know I was a little late showing the video.
Congratulations to that young man.
Young man, he's going through drive-through graduation because of the COVID thing. Couldn't even walk the stage, but they got to drive through with their family and stuff. I know, Natalie, it's unfair to the poor because they probably didn't have driver's licenses, but somebody stepped up and gave the young man a car ride with their driver's license. But, you know, I love that stuff. This is exactly, not just in our urban youth, but our Appalachian youth and all them. We need to step up and become the best that we've ever been. We have a choice in this election. We could be like Europe, socialism, where nobody really takes a chance and everybody just comfortable. Or we could be that exceptional country again, where capitalism takes over. We all take chances. We all start out with a little home business called Hood Samaritan and somehow become an Amazon. I want you to ask when you come to this election, because we're coming to it. We've really seen a stark divide in this country with, oh my God, I want to be safe because I have a 0.05% chance of dying. Or, hey, let's get out and let's build America for this next future. Because if we don't, just think, what has been invented in Europe in the last 30 or 40 years? Nothing. Because without capitalism, you don't have an incentive. We will not have a show tomorrow night because it's Memorial Day weekend. We will have one on Monday night at the end of Memorial Day weekend because I know a lot of news is going to happen. So enjoy yourself. Be safe. Until then, Kareem, thank you for joining as usual.
Thank you for having me.
HoodSamaritan.com. Hood-Samaritan.com.
Shout out to my auntie Elaine. Shout out to my wife, Queen. Go shop Good Samaritan.
Yeah, and I met your daughter today on there. And Natalie, thank you for taking it. I want to put it out there that Natalie is the bravest host on this show because she is always outnumbered, including by the by the people calling in and online, except for Jeremy helped her out today.
I am allowed to say shut up to you because you're my brother.
And that is 100% true. She can say shut up to me.
You ain't allowed to say shut up to me.
No.
All right, let's get out of here.
This has been Nightcaps with Nate. Please join Nate for a nightcap every weeknight at 9 Eastern here on Facebook Live.
Peace.